We're going to start this video off with a question. The player, when they posted their reviews, said that they jump a lot and they want to know, is there a reason to jumping a lot? Is it a bad habit? And the reason why players jump a lot is to avoid shots. However, I do see people do it a little bit too excessively. Now, in this gameplay, this player is playing Cloak and Dagger, so it makes more sense. But if you have to aim your shots and you're jumping all over the place, that becomes very, very hard to do. And so jumping is more of a strategy, not something you spam. However, because a lot of Cloak and Dagger players don't have to aim, as I said before, that is why they do it so often. So if you do swap from Cloak and Dagger, I would try to get out that habit. But for now, if you're just only playing Cloak and Dagger, it's fine to do it because you don't really lose anything by doing so. As always, like I said before, if you guys would like your gameplay reviewed, check out that highlighted pinned comment down below. Answer that comment, you'll get your replay reviewed. Let's hop into this one. Player wanted to know what they could have done better. When you guys submit a replay, I highly recommend that you guys have an exact reason as to why you want that replay reviewed. I say it in the question there. The reason why I asked is because I want to know specifically what to look for. But I decided to do this player because it's been a month since they posted, and they say they watch my content a lot and they enjoy my content and stuff like that. Remember, if you guys are a member, you do get to jump in front of the line of everyone else's. But what the reason why this player took a long time to get to was just strictly because it didn't have a reason. It's very hard to do a replay review if you don't have a specific reason, because it could be all over the place. You know what I mean? But they had context. It just wasn't the specific reason. So let's get into it and see how we could be playing better. This player is now gold. They could be a little bit higher. The profile is hidden, but I'm gonna just go with what they said, and they said that they were gold after they got out of silver. But this is a silver match. So far we are just jumping a lot, as you were saying in the beginning. But like I said, because you don't need to aim, there's not really a negative side to jumping. It's just if you were to play any other character that required aim, jumping could definitely lead to misinputs. As an example, if Invisible Woman spams jumping, you might double jump and then you just wasted your ability, or you might miss your shot or something like that. So that's why generally you don't want to spam it unless you need to dodge or avoid or something like that. Also, in a situation like this, you want to be careful where you're standing, because you don't want to be shot in the open. This is something a lot of supports struggle with, even in high ranks. What you want to think about is their team comp, and that can help you understand how to position. So if we take a look at their team comp, you know, what do they have? Well, they have an Iron Man, a Hulk, a Namor, and a Hawkeye. The other supports don't really matter unless it's like Ultron or Loki. So with these four here, what type of positioning are you gonna have to worry about? Are you gonna have to worry about being dove, or are you gonna have to worry about being poked? In a situation like this, it's more of a poke. So what you want to do is try to position yourself in cover more. Now, if it were dive related, then you need to adjust on that. But just because you know that you're going to be shot from far away, you want to start positioning away from the characters. So if they're here, right, we don't really want to be in the middle, because we don't need to be. We could be over here. This allows us to see our team, and should you want to fight anybody in the air or that crosses a threshold, you just kind of poke out. You can even do it from here. See what I mean? And should they fly like Iron Man or something, you could throw stuff. Should Iron Man be there, you could throw stuff. And you're just always in cover. In a situation like this, you're kind of asking to be shot. And this is something that's going to be taken advantage of when you basically see the Invisible Woman doing it, right? You're healing the Invisible Woman over and over and over because she's doing the same thing you're doing. The only difference is they're not focusing you. So this is why you want to really think about where you're standing relative to what characters they have. Again, focus on healing, but you don't need to move around a lot. So this is something that happens when you don't really have a gameplay set when how you're playing. This is kind of like a default movement type of thing. A lot of players feel like the more you move, the more active you are, the more you're putting into a match. And that's not necessarily true. Again, you're not the only one that does this. I see it in high ranks too. A lot of players generally just move around a lot. And you don't have to if there's no reason to. If you're going against something that's going to shoot you from far away, we don't need to move around a lot if we're in cover. You know what I mean? Now, if you're going against a diver, let's just say Captain America, because his hitbox is very small, you don't move around until he gets to you, because then that's when you start, you know, messing with them and things like that. So use movement as a way to adjust for what's going on the map. Don't just move around willy-nilly. I guess that's the best advice I can give you. Now, one thing I do want to see you do, I was going to say, I want to see you attack, but when you start looking for attacks, throw the bubble down first and then start looking to fight. That way you're not needed for a few seconds. That bubble is really broken. I don't know if they're gonna nerf that in season 3 or what, but that thing is strong. So whenever you use any of your lingering abilities, that's when you can go look to fight. Rocket has a similar playstyle, but Rocket takes a little bit more finesse to pull off. With a character like this, you just throw it down and then you go fight. And you throw it down and then you go fight. The same thing with her curtain. Okay, you're ulting. We don't really need to ult here though. This is just us wasting it. And I always say this. This is something that you guys hear me say a lot when I stream or when I do videos, or even in my Discord chat. The people that let me down the most are Cloak and Dagger players. Like, hands down. Either they get KO'd through ult, or they ult too early. Every single time. Every single time. There's not a time, and I'm talking about high ranks, there's not a time where they're just like perfect. And I don't necessarily know why, but if you can get better at ulting with Cloak and Dagger, I guarantee you're gonna start skyrocketing. It's that simple. This character, for some reason, teaches players how to not ult properly, possibly because it's a damage ability. So people think that you need to fire it off. Now, I'm not saying you don't have a reason to do it, but why would we ult when we already, when we're already technically losing the fight, right? We lost our support. So like, should everybody start fighting right now, we probably will lose the fight. Not saying that you can't ult, but ulting prematurely ensures that you lose the fight. Why? They have two supports that could have ult to you know, counter yours. If you ult first, guess who ults second? Their Cloak and Dagger or their Invisible Woman. Then they're gonna win the fight afterward, right? Whereas if you just save ult, wait for them to ult, and then you ult after, this should give enough time for your support to come back and then ult with you. Does that make sense? So really, ult timing is huge, but for Cloak and Dagger players, it's the most necessary, especially because yours is one of the longer ones. I believe it's 11 seconds. So, and in this particular situation, there was like nothing to ult. Nobody was being aggressed on. Nobody was in danger. We just ulted. So now their Cloak and Dagger should have ulted. They didn't even have to ult and they won this fight. You see what I mean? Like, not only because the timing was off when you ulted, but just the fight itself was already over because you lost the support. The ult that you would have had to do in that specific scenario would have been to stall for your teammate to get there, or would have been to stall the fight. But you ulted so early that they didn't really accomplish anything. And so now we're just in a dangerous spot. And that's okay. Again, this is something that a lot of Cloak and Dagger players struggle with. Invisible Woman players tend to too, as well as Rockets, but usually when Rockets struggle, it's because they don't actually play the character. Most of the time when Rockets play the character, they know what to do. So yeah, when you're using your ultimate, try to be a little bit more thoughtful about why you're using it, and then use it at that point. Okay, just getting lasered. And that just comes down to just kind of the positioning that we talked about, right? If you're dealing with poke, you want to stay in cover. You don't want to move around a lot, etc., etc. Just kind of the same things that we discussed earlier, but you're just getting punished for it now. So if we were to deal with this, what would be a good spot for us to stand if we're trying to heal our team at the same exact time? Do you think we should stand here? So that way we can look down. Should we stand here? That way we can look down. Should we stand here? That way we're kind of in cover. Should we stand there? That way we're kind of in cover. It should be here. When you're using cover, the goal isn't to take no damage. The goal is to reduce the damage you take. If I'm here, I don't really have anywhere to walk left to, but I could go backwards a little bit. But I could still be shot because they could still see me, right? You could see them, which means they can see you. From here, you could, but again, you're still susceptible to being shot. You could go, say, from here. At this point, then you're susceptible to being shot and or just flanked. So the best spot would be somewhere right here. That way, if you poke your head out, nobody can really see you except the people that are right there in front of group, which would be right here. See what I mean? They have to be there. If anybody else is here, they can't see you if you're poking around that little rock right there. This is just something you want to think about whenever you are playing. And again, it's not just these ranks. It happens a lot in high rank as well, especially Cloak and Dagger players. Cloak and Dagger players, they some bullies. Don't be afraid to use your cloak more. I noticed with your gameplay, you're very dagger heavy, but don't be afraid to use your cloak more. Dagger's the girl, cloak is the boy. Just in case you don't follow like the character like that. So the most part, if I were in your shoes, I would focus on getting my positioning down. A lot of the times we're just moving around way too much when we don't have to. When you're dealing with divers and stuff like that, it's a little bit more understandable. But if your goal is to minimize damage, and we're not in cover and staying in cover when we can do our job safely, that's how you know we're missing out on a few positioning factors. The other thing is usage of your abilities, not just dagger abilities, but cloak abilities as well. We're not really throwing the bubble down at the correct time. We're not really using the curtain at the correct time. And then when we're using cloak, we don't really fight as often as we could. And learning to use your abilities efficiently. And I know it's kind of hard for cloak and dagger. I said this in a previous video. Cloak and dagger players generally are very spam heavy, especially because the game wants you to spam. But your abilities, every single one is so crucial that if you can learn when to use what and why and how to get the most out of it, that's going to help you carry so many more matches. I promise you. And then the last thing is just the ultimate usage in general. We tend to ult when we don't need to. And that's going to lead to either you being KO'd in ult, or it's going to be leading to you ulting way too early. And so understanding why I need to ult is important. So check that out. If you have any problems with understanding when's the best time to use your ultimates, I discuss all of them down there, especially when we're talking about strategist ultimates. So that'll help you a lot. As I said before, you guys, if you would like your replay review, check that highlighted pinned comment down below. Also, remember, if you are a member of the channel, you will be able to jump in front of the line and get your replay done before anybody else. So I highly recommend doing that if you not only want to help support the channel, but if you want to, just cut ahead and get some tips, especially before the end of the season. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for doing what? Popping often, but often.